Everyone, lovely to have you here today. Today we're doing Prepare for Massage treatments, and you're all students of Cert 4 or diploma level students here today. My name's Louise Presentation. I'm a vocational trainer and assessor. I'm an independent trainer. And today's workshop will run for about 20 minutes. There'll be no breaks, and there are refreshments will be provided at the end of the workshop. So today our expectations and prerequisites today, that you had completed your anatomy and physiology unit, you had the reading of your WH&S procedures and practices, you have identified your goals and your outcomes for this course, and please can you assure that you turn your mobile phones off. Thank you. So our goals and outcomes for this workshop will be, you will be able to review a client for a massage service, you'll be able to create a treatment plan for a client, you will be able to explain the contraindications to the client, you'll be able to revise that treatment plan, set up your workplace, and feel quite confident that those first steps are covered. So today I'd like to know what your goals are for this course and what would you like to get out of this today. So Sarah, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. So what would you like to get out of this workshop today?
The confidence to know what to do in this situation.
Fantastic. Lou, how are you today?
Yeah, good.
Good. What would you like to get out of this workshop today?
Just to be more informed about the whole procedures and processes. I'm just a bit unsure about how to go through that, so I'm really glad that you're putting it all out, laying it all out so that we understand that.
Fantastic. That's wonderful. So today, before we begin, before we actually had you in this workshop, we went through the workplace safety through the training rooms that are here. So if you look on your second page of your handouts, which you all have, I have put in a check sheet for the workplace safety and training. So just to go over it, just to reiterate, we did a training room inspection prior to this workshop. So you can just tick these boxes as you go along. We identified the relevant hazards that are in the workplace here, in the workplace environment. We went through a fire and evacuation plan. We located the first aid kit. I showed you how to report accidents, and I showed you where the kitchen and the toilets were. So if you could just sign the bottom of that sheet, that would be fantastic, just to know that you're across all that. Thank you. So today, the agenda that we'll be covering today will be number 1, the client treatment plan. Number 2 will be the client contraindications that will appear on the treatment plan. The appropriate advice that you will give as therapists to your client. We will then revise that treatment plan, and then we will set up the workplace as required for the treatment to be performed. So number 1, we're going to start with the client treatment plan. So today we're going to ask Sarah to come forward, and she's going to be my client today. How are you? That's good. Stand and sit. So when you're actually calling a client in to have a treatment, it would be ideal if you had an area that would be set up that you could, and it was private, that you could actually take your client in, have a consultation prior to massage in this case, or you could actually take them into the massage room and have that same consultation. But for today's purpose, we're actually just setting up this area here, just like a private room at the side. So when you're consulting with your client, you would actually come in and you would have your treatment plan with you, and the client would have a copy of the treatment plan, which is just going to be up here next. So a treatment plan will look like this, and you can actually make up your own treatment plans and put in whatever requirements that you need in that. Of course, the top part of the treatment plan is all the details of the client, which is very important because we'll actually stick that into the computer system and have them on record. So we go through the name, the age of the client, the address and email address, what type of treatment the client is actually having today, what area that needs requirement. Today it's going to be, we're going to be looking at calf massage. Injuries, is there any pain? Have they had any treatments before? Were they satisfied with the treatment? And are they undergoing any current treatment. So all this information is really, really important so we can build a data bank of our client and give our client the best service and the best treatment. We'll also go through the lifestyle, which is incredibly important, and that is why that you will need to have that prior knowledge to have this consultation with your client. You will need to know about health and well-being, nutrition, physiology and anatomy. So we go through the client, we would go through the client's diet. We would also be asking if they smoke and they have alcohol, how much water, exercise and so forth. So the client will actually detail as much as possible on that client sheet for you. Hi.
Sorry, question.
Yes, absolutely.
How long should you allow, what time frame before the treatment?
Normally we'd like a client to come 15 minutes prior to a treatment, so we actually give them the adequate time to fill out this information form. I then need to go over, which I will show you in a moment, I will go over that treatment plan again and then I will revise it with my client so she gets the proper treatment. So this is the first part of the treatment plan that the client will fill out on their own. You can either leave them on their own in this area so they can fill the form out for themselves, or you can actually just sit with them if they need to ask you any questions. Also on the treatment plan, it's very important that you will have the muscular system diagram, and we also have, on the next slide, we have the skeletal system. So the importance of that is for the therapist. So if the client has had, for an example here, a broken leg, we want to note when the injury was, how the injury happened, and if there's any ongoing issues with that problem. If we just go back to the screen before, to the muscular system, we'll actually just indicate for today, which is going to be a tight calf muscle, but there may be other issues that the client has had in the previous years or is actually feeling at the moment, whether it be tight shoulders, the gluteal area or any other area, or the neck area as well. So it's really important that you know your physiology and anatomy so you can identify the muscle groups that you're going to be working with. So after you've done that initial consultation with your client, she's filled out her form, I would sit there with my client and I would go through all the categories with my client. We would go through and even going down to making sure all the details are correct to go in the computer for email addresses, everything is important. So now we're going to, after discussing the treatment plan with our client, I will go through and I will mark any area that I find is a contraindication. So that could be, contraindication could be any health-related illnesses or diagnosis that the client has had, any form of medication the client is on, stress or any of those areas, smoking, drinking, all those areas I would actually be marking down on my treatment plan, and I would review those with my clients and just see if it's appropriate for today's treatment. So contraindications. So when we check the contraindications, we will use our discretion to determine whether the client is suitable for the treatment or otherwise medical confirmation should be sought. So you need to have enough knowledge to be able to do that. So it's really important when you are doing this type of training that you're always going back and reviewing your anatomy and physiology, your nutrition and health and well-being, so that you're up to date on all the latest knowledge that you need to know. So it's very important there's confidentiality with your client. And if needed, we will liaise with a medical GP or a specialist if needed. So those that are requiring referral to a client GP are clearly and respectfully discussed. Now, varicose veins is an indication of is a contraindication. So even though we're doing a consultation here, when I get my client on to the massage table, I would then have a look at the area that is affected with varicose veins, and then I would decide whether it was okay to go ahead with the treatment. So are there any questions? That's all clear? Wonderful, thank you. So appropriate advice. So the client's modesty and privacy must be maintained at all time. Your client is going to tell you a lot of things about their health and their well-being, and they need to be able to trust that they can disclose that information. So you must be a trustworthy person and have a business that is trustworthy so the client feels relaxed and create that rapport. So any areas of concern that are out of the therapist's qualification, or skills, we need to refer them on. So girls, when you're going into a working environment, you will have obviously that ability or that knowledge to be able to refer on to to a GP or a specialist. You will have a group of people that you will would know about, and you could refer that on for your client. Also, while we're doing this consultation, we need to allow time and invite the client to ask questions before the treatment commences. So Sarah, just going through your treatment plan, is there anything that you would like to discuss with me further before we go ahead with your treatment?
I don't think so. I have hip problems as well, so is that going to help my hip problems, do you think?
Absolutely.
Clearing up the calf?
Absolutely. So what we do is that it's an area that I would mark down on the skeletal and muscular system on my treatment plan. When you get on the table, I would then review it again, and we'll see what other muscle areas is going down to the calf muscle as well. Okay. So once we've gone through the contraindications with our client, and the client feels comfortable that the treatment can go ahead, we will go back and revise that treatment plan. So it's just really reiterating what we've gone over, making sure the client feels comfortable with the treatment that she's actually going to receive. So I will discuss and agree the treatment plan with Sarah, my client, and make sure that all her needs, physical and psychological needs, are being met. I would ensure there's effective communication so the client feels comfortable at all times. So it's really important, I know in this situation, we're in a training situation here, but when you would be having a consultation with your client, you would be looking and engaging your client at all times. As I said, the consultation is face-to-face, and we will actually continue that review when Sarah goes onto the massage table. Thank you. So now we're going to set up the service area. We're going to prepare the work environment to meet all the health and safety legislation requirements, so that's very important that you actually know that prior to setting up your room. Ensure your appearance is professional at all times and that it conforms to hygiene and health and safety requirements. So you will have a uniform, whatever work environment you're actually working in, so make sure that you're always neat and tidy, your hair is pulled off your face, hands and nails are always clean and immaculate. Ensure there's an adequate space in the treatment room for the massage services. So in your treatment rooms, I know they will vary in your work environments, girls, as you go out into the workplace, but always make sure that you have enough area to walk around your massage table and that it's safe to do so. All your equipment and products and materials should be available in the treatment room. So this is really important. So have you ever had a time where you've been in a massage and someone's left the massage room to go get a towel or the oil, and you're actually left on the table? So has anyone ever experienced that?
Yeah.
So how did that feel when you actually were left there for a moment and the client said, wait a minute, I'll be back?
They didn't tell me they were going to be back, and I wasn't sure if it was over or not.
I wasn't sure it was over before it started.
Yeah.
Okay.
I felt a bit abandoned. You're sort of like lying there all vulnerable, and then the person just sort of goes, oh, hang on a second, just check my voicemail.
Well, we're hoping there would be none of that, there'd be no phones on. So it's really important because you know what it feels like. You're not sure whether the massage therapist is actually going to be coming back, and you feel a little bit vulnerable and unsure and uncertain in that environment. So at all times you want to make sure that the client is feeling secure and feeling certain of their environment and that they're being nurtured and cared for. So it's really important to have all your products and everything there within the room. So now I'm going to show you a video of how to set up a massage table. And after we do the massage table video, we'll actually have a demonstration on that. Wonderful, so I hope you enjoyed that video.
Yep.
So I am going to show you how to dress a massage table. Pretty much the same, but you can have you can variate that with the equipment that you actually have at home or in your salon. So make sure that your massage table is clean and sterilised. So whether you use a spray or a wipe, make sure that you've wiped everything down and it's all clean and hygienic. So the first thing we place on the massage table is some kind of padding. Even though my massage table is quite padded, sometimes it's an added benefit just to have a little bit of extra padding there. The next thing that I actually put on the massage table, and this is actually up to you or whether the salon wants to have it or not, is an electric blanket. In some places they don't use these. Make sure when you are using an electric blanket that you turn it on about an hour prior to the massage, because it does take some time to actually heat up.
Would you just put that on a low number?
I started off on a higher number,
Yeah.
and then just prior to the client coming, I'd actually just turn that down, because once they actually get changed and have all the other linen and covering on them, they can get quite warm.
Mm.
So you can adjust that to the temperature within the room and the client's wants and needs. We then place a fitted sheet over the top of that, but before we do that, we actually will put the bolster down there for their feet. Now, not everyone will want a bolster, so some people will feel comfortable having that removed. So put it on to start with, and if the client requests that be removed, there's no trouble with that at all. And you'll also find sometimes that it can get in the way when you're doing a calf or leg massage, so you just need to see how that feels for you as well. Other cushionings and padding can be added. If you're doing different types of massage, like pregnancy massage, you would pad that in an appropriate manner to support the stomach and the lower area as well. So this is just a basic padding for our next client. Then place a top sheet over. Again, this can be varied. You might just want to use towels. And then, even though the top headpiece is padded, I'm going to add just a little bit of extra padding. There's some great things that are on the market. And like the one in the video was actually a lamb's wool one, which is fantastic. But for today's purpose, I just have this one. It's just got the beading in it and very easy to clean as well. So you'll place a towel on top of that. You can also get disposable coverings for the top of the headrest, which are fantastic as well. Now you might like to extend on that. You might want to roll some towels up there for your clients. You can put some flowers on there. You can put some disposable underwear, depending on what kind of treatment that you are doing. But basically that's how you set up a massage table for your service. So now after doing that demonstration, and if there's no questions, I'm going to call on one of the students to come up and demonstrate dressing a massage table. So Sarah, would you like to come up?
I'd love to.
Thank you. So yes,
Start with this, right?
absolutely. And do you think you would need this every time on a massage treatment?
Depends how soft the bed is.
Okay. And why? What else would you? What other people would you use this for?
Pregnant people?
And maybe the elderly.
Okay, yeah. And
Okay, so if they're a little bit sore and a little bit tired and a little bit older, sometimes this will actually aid them in their comfort.
Okay.
So this is the electric blanket. So how long prior to the massage would you turn this on?
You said an hour, right?
Okay.
Okay.
What would be another variation on using a fitted sheet?
Towels. Oh, this one goes under the fitted sheet, doesn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does. And as I said to you, would you use that, as I was explaining about the variation of using the bolster? It's up to you whether you want to have it there. You will adjust that when the client gets on the table to the right area. And if they prefer it not to be there, or you need to adjust it in any way for something else,
Yeah.
you can do that.
So Louise, if you don't have a fancy bolster, you could just like roll a towel.
Absolutely. Towels, even a blanket. If you had a blanket, a small blanket, you could roll that up and put that near the ankle area if that was what was needed, or a cushion. Wonderful. Now, what would be another variation just with the towels for that? So a client's coming in and they're looking for a towel.
Just pop it on, some flowers, and some underwear.
Absolutely, that's great. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So thank you for joining our workshop today. This is the first part of the unit of how to do a massage. So it's the first component. So I hope you got a lot of information and enjoyment out of doing this today.